Now it's time to be dangerous. Now it's time to get risky. Now it's time to truly find out what you're made of and what you could achieve. Now it's time to truly find out how many lives you can impact. Now it's time to find out what you were destined to become.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to Raw Minds Podcast. I'm your host, Eric. This show is about real men, real pain, and real stories that don't get talked about enough. Today's guest is Nate. Nate did not just take the easy road. He was a scuba diver instructor at Turks and Caicos. I think I said that right. That's where he met his wife, Lucy. They built a life in a paradise. They adopted 9 stray dogs. They dreamed of a family. Then life hit them hard. Nate and Lucy lost 4 unborn children. They lost an infant daughter. Pain stacked on pain. Most people break there. Nate did not quit. Their son, Otto, was born just 26 weeks, fighting for his life. Nate found himself in the NICU praying for strength, not just for himself, not for his wife, but for his son, for one more breath. Nate tells his story in his memoir, We Did It. It is not pretty. It's not honest. It's raw. It shows what grief does to a man and how love keeps him standing. If you're a father, if you have lost someone, and if you're carrying silent weight, this episode's for you. And before we start, do me a favor, like this episode, share it, comment on your thoughts, and follow Raw Minds on all platforms. This show reaches all men all over the world, and it grows just because of you. So thank you guys. Let's get into it. Welcome, Nate, to Raw Minds, man. Appreciate you, brother.
How you doing?
I'm excellent, man. How is yourself?
Good.
So I know we've talked for a while, but like before we get into everything, I like to get my guests to plug, what their books or the company and stuff. So please, if you could plug that and tell my audience.
The quick story is that, like you said, we lost several pregnancies and our infant daughter, Mary, and took one more shot at it. Took 10 years and had our son Otto, and he decided to pop out a little bit early. It was at 26 weeks. He was just under 2 pounds, and we were shipped off to Vancouver in British Columbia, Canada here. We spent 121 days in the NICU. We watched him die and get resuscitated twice, and
Wow.
several other pretty crazy things along the way. Finally got home, and right now we have a healthy, happy 2.5-year-old, and it was worth the 10 years and the fight. So I decided, it honestly started with just I wanted to write down how hard my wife and I fought for him, and so one day when he's an adult or a teenager or whenever he's ready, he can read about how he came to be. So I published the book. It's called We Did It.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, available on Amazon and several other locations.
Somewhere there. There we go.
And so it kind of has taken its own course and definitely found a niche in, groups of NICU parents that have suffered loss. And there's other parts to it, like with the dogs and stuff. So we hear quite a bit from people that have adopted. They're called pot cakes down in the Caribbean or down where we are, which is, I guess, a recognized breed now. And so we've had dog people reach out to us, and like I said, NICU parents and so on. So
That's wild, man.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Thank
incredible.
God, though. You know what I mean? You got Otto, right? It's Otto, right?
Yeah, it's Otto.
Yeah,
that's
man. Thank God. It's just a blessing. Like I'm a father. I have 11-year-old. Oh no, yeah, she's 11. She just turned 11. Sorry, yeah, because it was January. I was thinking for a second. Yeah, so I have 11-year-old, and I mean, she's just my world. You know what I mean? And yeah, so. To a father and to a father, man. To a father to another father, man. Like I'm so happy for you guys, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's everything we kind of wished for. It just took us a really long road to get there,
Yeah.
And I spend a lot of time in my day with them every day, and I'm blessed to be able to do that.
That's beautiful, man. So I would like you to, can you walk us through kind of like, your story?
Yeah.
Yeah, please. And like, kind of like how you're feeling and like what got you through that, like what was going through your mind and like, cause that's hard to go through. Definitely.
Yeah. It, at one point it looked very bleak, but the beginning of it was I was working as a dive instructor and a tour operator in the Turks and Caicos, Grand Turk, which is the capital of the country. And I met my wife, Lucy, who basically came down on a vacation. She was 18. She's from England. So they kind of do like a gap year before they go on to university. So that was part of her traveling in her gap year before going to university. She kind of came, we met, and she stayed. It was a little rough between her folks and me for a little bit
Mhm.
because I was just this dive instructor.
Yeah.
Living,
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine, right? Yeah, exactly. She never comes back, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
So we did what every couple does and kind of start their life together. And while we were doing that, we had a soft spot for dogs. We were feeding one stray dog after a hurricane. And she decided to crawl under our deck one night. And we thought she went under there to die or have puppies. And sure enough, the next day we heard whimpering. So she
Wow.
gave birth to 4 female dogs. And we just felt compelled to go from 0 pets to 5 dogs. So, and then once you have 5, one lady was leaving the island. She asked us to take on her senior dog. So when you're at 5, what's 6?
Yeah.
Then that senior dog actually found a runt of a puppy when we were walking them out in the fields. There's a lot of stray dogs there. So it was probably just abandoned by its mother. We took that
Mhm.
home. We took her home. Her name was Heidi. And we thought she was actually going to just pass through the night because she was so weak. And we woke up in the morning and she was running around the room.
Oh,
So
wow.
that
Amazing.
made 6. And then we adopted another beach dog that was close to our house there. His name was Samson. And he was, I don't know, mentally challenged or slow. So he would kind of walk into bushes and not be able to back out and see things that weren't there when we were walking all the
Okay.
dogs that the other dogs wouldn't react to.
Okay, okay.
So he was a bit special. And yeah, so we accumulated 9 after we kind of just, and then we kind of kept saying, what's our limit?
Yeah, yeah, 'cause yeah.
We both, while walking them, 'cause we were the ones that like walked them on leashes in the morning before work and stuff. We both kind of got dragged down the road while
No, I
they were
bet,
chasing
man.
a wild pack of dogs. So it was that was our limit. Was not.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough, man.
Yep. And then shortly after that, we were able to get the house that we were looking at and trying to get. We actually wanted it because of the yard. It's on almost half an acre. So we
Oh,
wanted it for
nice.
the dogs more than anything.
Yeah.
And then we got married. And I had promised my grandmother on my father's side, my Nana, that I wouldn't try to have children until I owned a home and was married, which honestly I think is probably decent
Mhm.
advice for anyone.
Yeah.
So then we started on the quest of having kids of our own, not just 4-legged ones. The first one we had was our son. We never named him. It happened pretty early on in the pregnancy. We sent Lucy to do all the checkups and everything. And they couldn't really, it was the checkup that tells their sex. They couldn't really
Mhm.
tell because there wasn't enough fluid in there. Eventually, they did tell us it was a boy, but they couldn't figure out the fluid thing. And I guess it's a pretty rare thing, but they were I guess there's a flap inside like our urethra, penis kind of area that allows you to pee. He wasn't able to pee, and that is the majority of what the fluid is
Oh,
inside the
man.
womb. So not having that, he was his lungs never developed.
Yeah.
And so we had to terminate that pregnancy. We got pregnant again about a year or so later. We took a little break. That was pretty rough. But our first experience, so we're kind of like, okay, we got the bad one out of the way,
Yeah.
let's go on to that. And the second one, we got pregnant and we had a miscarriage. Then we waited another little bit and got pregnant again. And we got pregnant with our daughter, Mary, who we took to full term. The Turks and Caicos has brand new hospitals, but they weren't staffed really with the best people.
Mhm.
So on January 1st, which was the day that Lucy went into labor, brought her to the hospital. We had talked to the OBGYN previously to that and said we had had a couple of losses. Would she be there on the day that Lucy would give birth to Mary? And she said yes. So we went in, told the nurse. Of course, she was on call because it was New Year's Day. So we ended up,
Wow, on New Year's too.
yeah, New Year's Day,
Yeah,
2016.
crazy.
So Lucy, when we had our son the first time, did have to give birth to him. So she had kind of an idea of what it was
To
like, what
expect, kind
labor
of,
was
yeah.
like. So she, I was doing the stressed out dad thing, just kind of pacing around and trying
Yeah,
to comfort her in
yeah.
any way I
That's yeah.
could.
Like, what do I do? What do I do? Yeah,
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 exactly.
yeah,
Not knowing
yeah,
anything. And she kept saying there's a pain in her stomach that's separate from the labor pains. And it was like a sharp pain. And so we kept relaying that to the nurse. I started, as the time went on and Lucy kept saying that, I kept being a little more forceful with the nurse and saying, like, you need to get the doctor here. Something's not quite right. After about 4 hours in labor in there, my wife shot up off the bed, like almost like an exorcism, and screamed and then kind of collapsed. And of course, they have the Doppler going on, for the baby's vitals, and those
yeah.
started to drop. So the nurse kind of panicked at that point, and the doctor finally came in. By that time, our neighbor there was the anesthetist or anesthesiologist.
Anesthesial, yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
so I had called him and saying, can you just anyone come?
yeah.
And so he kind of came in around the same time as the OBGYN. They both looked at the Doppler printouts of Mary's vitals just dropping. And they called for surgery. They didn't say anything to us. It took over another hour. They wheeled us downstairs to the surgery room. Lucy was then, I sat in like the waiting room hallway kind of thing.
Yeah,
Lucy was, I could see her, but she was in the other room and she was like white as a ghost. Again, you have no idea what's really going on.
and
So
helpless, right? Like, that's the worst thing, is helpless,
yeah,
man.
completely helpless.
Yeah,
I was, texting her parents, my parents, kind of just relaying what was happening. And eventually they did do surgery, and I just kind of sat there listening. I was just hoping to hear my daughter cry, honestly. Like I thought that would be the one noise I would know that, okay, she's okay,
yeah,
we're okay, we'll be
yeah.
all right. And it took about 20-25 minutes. And then the anesthesiologist that we knew came out and gave me this one.
Oh my
And
god. Wow.
I was, like, what do you mean?
Yeah, like, what the
Like,
fuck is that, man? You
yeah.
know?
And so he then told us that Lucy had a uterine rupture. So basically her insides kind of exploded, and Mary's head
Wow.
came out into her torso, basically. They were able to get Mary out. She had a very faint heartbeat, but they weren't able to revive her. And at that point, he said he had to go back in there so that they could
For
work on
Lucy.
Lucy. And after all that kind of happened, eventually they came back out and said, go see your wife and spend time with your daughter that wasn't alive at that point. And so they left it to me as well to break it to Lucy that Mary wasn't alive, and Lucy had lost 60% of her blood. So they didn't have her blood type there. So they were flying blood in. So they were just whatever they give her, to kind of get her blood pressure back to normal.
Yeah.
Saline, basically, at that point, I
Yeah.
think. And so they were doing that. She was very groggy. She was under one of those like space blankets, trying to keep her warm,
Yeah.
such. And then right next to us was Mary and like one of the little cribs.
Yeah.
And so I had to wait until she was
Did she take
alert.
that epidural? Well, like, was that why
No,
she was all oh, no, okay.
no, it's because of the surgery.
The surgery gave her the meds and stuff like
Yeah,
that, yeah.
yeah. They basically had to do like an emergency C-section,
Yeah,
and then realized at that time that it was a bit of a bigger issue than
yeah.
what
What they thought it
initially
was, yeah.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I just want to stop it. Like, my condolences, brother. I'm getting all teary-eyed because it affects me. I'm a father, you know what I mean? And my daughter was viciously mauled by a dog and had 400 stitches in her face from here all the way down to here when she was 2 years old. And she was just screaming for me, man. And it hurts because you can't do anything.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
It hurts, man. So I feel you, man.
I think honestly, our daughters would be pretty close to the same age now. Like that was 2016. Just because it's January 1st, it's not a day you're gonna ignore or
Yeah.
forget, or it's how you start your year every year. So we start our year with a birthday cake for her and try to remember. And we just this January had her 10th birthday. So
Good for you.
it would have been
Happy birthday to her, man. My
Thank you.
daughter's January 14th.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
very close, but
And
yeah.
it's crazy because 4 is a huge number. My birthday's 4/4/84.
Mhm.
And then her birthday's 01/14 14/14.
Yeah.
So it's like 4 it's crazy. It's just how it works. And she's my best friend. Like she's just grown to be my best friend. I have full custody of her. It's just me and her and the new girl that I'm seeing. She's wonderful and she takes her, she's like a mother to her, right? So it's amazing, man. So
Yeah.
it's awesome, man. It's, you know, being a father is just amazing. You know, it really is. You know, there's nothing like it. You know,
It's the best thing in life for me
yeah.
now,
Yeah.
it's
It changed my life, man. I'll tell you this, it changed my life. I'm not shy of this. I was affiliated with some people and I was selling drugs for a good 8 years of my life, 7 years of my life. And I got a phone call. I was in the middle of actually selling drugs at the time. And I got a phone call and it was her mom. And she's like, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, I'll call you right back. And I hung up the phone and she's probably thinking like, what the fuck? And I
Yeah.
called everybody. I'm like, I'm done. I'm walking away. I'm done. This is my chance. I always wanted to be a father ever since I was like 16 years old, right? I never grew up really with my dad. My dad was in and out of my life.
Mhm.
So I've always wanted to, you know, be able to mirror what I think I should have had, you know, and give that to her. And then I called her right back and I was like, I'm done. I mean, I'm walking away. I'm ready to be a dad. Let's do this. And I only knew her for 3 months, man. And it just happened. It was just like we knew each other for a little bit longer than that, but we were only dating for 3 months. And it just kind of happened. I hate to say this, but it was the best mistake of my life. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't planned. You know what I mean? You know, sorry to take away from you, but I just wanted to share a little bit of that too, man, because, you know, I'm a proud father myself, man. And
Yeah.
I just want to say my condolences for that. And I can't
Thank you.
imagine because,
Yeah.
you know, so sorry to take away from that. I just
That's all
wanted
right.
to-
No, that's all
Yeah.
right. It's yeah, we even though we're at where we are now, we still, especially when you come to anniversaries like 10 years, you're
Yeah.
like, my son's 2.5, 2 3/4. What would it be like if he had a 10-year-old sister running
Yeah.
around? And boys are so much different than girls too, right? That
Yeah.
like I can rough house with my son and so on, but
Yeah.
my wife keeps saying like, "Oh, my parents could just give me like a coloring book and an hour's doing that." Well, that's
Yeah.
what he's
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing is too though about having a boy and having a girl, you just got to worry about one dick. I got to worry about everybody else's, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You know, so that's the big stress that comes with that, definitely. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I sorry, I love saying that line. I just had to throw it in there.
That's a good line, man. It's at some point, I have to have the talk, but it's gonna be,
Yeah,
don't come home and say you got someone pregnant.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Hopefully not, brother. Hopefully not. Yeah,
Hopefully we can teach him well
yeah,
enough.
yeah,
But yeah, so I had to sit there while Lucy kind of recovered, and then she kind of looked to me and all groggy eyed. And I had to be the one that gave her the news that our daughter was right next to us. My wife wears glasses and obviously didn't have them in the surgery, so
mhm,
she couldn't
yeah,
really see Mary right there. The staff kept bugging us they're like, go spend time with her, go spend time with her. We got to move her. And I was like, what do you mean you have to move her? So she's dead.
yeah,
So they wanted to kind of hustle it along. Met with we kind of in that instance. It all kind of blurs together for me.
yeah. That's fair.
And because Lucy had such a major surgery, major impact of the uterine rupture, we actually got flown out to the Bahamas, to Nassau, to a bigger hospital that could deal with it. I didn't really deal with it right away. Lucy was recovering. We're in a different place. My father, I give him all the credit for this. He jumped on a plane right away, came down and fed the dogs and looked after the dogs for us. And, so he was able to get there. I think one of our friends on the island kind of fed him for a day before my father got there. And my father, there was good and bad parts to it, but he was a therapist by trade. Being raised by a therapist is a unique thing of
Yeah.
itself. But he was down there and he was there for us when we came back, and he was the one that suggested.
Sorry to
Oh,
cut you out. Like, how
yeah.
was your mindset though? Because like I know for me, when I showed up to the emergency, her mom was outside just screaming like in the parking lot. Like I didn't even park my truck. I just stopped it in the middle and I just ran in.
Yeah.
I just had a like I felt like I held it together because her mom's like, why didn't you like show emotion? Why didn't you do this? And I felt like I was trying to hold it together for everybody. You know, that's for me. Was that how you kind of felt in that instant?
Yeah, I was relaying everything to, like, her parents, close friends of ours, but mostly her parents. And when I actually went home to get, like, our passports and, like, carry-on worth of clothes to go to the Bahamas, I had a phone call with her mother. They're British, or Lucy's British, so they were in England, so it was kinda like morning their time
Mm-hmm.
at that point. And so I had to explain it all to her mother. I don't remember that conversation at all, but her mother did tell me and tell Lucy later that it was very helpful and I was informative. I wasn't a mess, and it became something that I actually hated myself for later, but it took probably 4 or 5 months for me to even shed a tear for my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I skipped that part of grief and went straight to anger.
Mm-hmm.
Anger of the doctor really for not showing up when, you know, they did call her.
When you need it.
And being January 1st, I guess she had a big night the night before.
Yeah.
And that's what, really at the end of the day, if it was more time sensitive, like, my daughter would be here. So I sat in a hotel room in Nassau in the Bahamas, kind of just festering my anger. Lucy was recovering. And then when we came back, at least my father was there. We had asked, it's a really small island. There's only about 6,000 people. So we were pretty well
Mhm.
known kind of at that point. So we asked our boss, we were running the dive and tour company at that point. We asked her just to kind of get the word out to leave us alone. We just wanted to try
Some
and process
peace.
it without
Yeah.
people kind of giving us and it's all well intentioned, but you don't really want to hear,
Mhm.
how sorry people are for you at that point. You just kind
Yeah.
of want to process it on your own.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when we got back, it was my father that suggested we go to the bigger island where we wouldn't have to deal with doctors at the hospital or go back into that building. And that Lucy could meet with the OBGYN, the private one there. And I could meet with a GP there that I'd seen before. And I kind of just gave him the short rundown of what happened.
Yeah.
And he diagnosed me with PTSD.
Because of the situation, what happened?
Yeah, and he ended up putting me on an antipsychotic. The name of it kinda slips me.
Seroquel, is it?
No, it was
Okay.
Risperdal or something like that?
Okay. I used to be on Seroquel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I know, but I only know that. But yeah.
He put me on that. She handled all this stuff much better than
Yeah.
I did, and she's the one that physically went through it, not me. I was kind of the
Crazy,
bystander,
man.
right? But she was given, it wasn't Valium, but something in the benzodiazepine family to take as needed. And I
Yeah.
was given this other one that just turned me into an absolute zombie.
Yeah. That's what it did to me, man. And did it make you sleepy too? Did it
Oh
like it
yeah,
would
all
knock
day.
me out?
Yeah.
Like you would see me like this, like no expression on my face. It was just like flatline, if that makes sense. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like that's how I felt, definitely.
Yeah.
like
Well,
crawling out of
that's
your
like
skin.
I just flushed it after
Yeah,
10 days, 2 weeks or something. Like, I can't, if this is how you have to function, I can't function like that.
yeah,
We took 3 months off of work. Our boss, Dale, she was gracious enough to just let us have our time to really
that's
process it.
awesome.
She still to this day is involved in our lives like family.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we kind of tried to recover. We lost 2 of our dogs during
No,
that period, which normally, you can process a little better, but just it all sent you back to this just loss, right? It's just
definitely, man. Definitely.
loss.
It's just
Yeah.
compiling of compiling. I get it, brother.
Yeah.
I get it.
And one of them was really old, one of them had cancer. So it wasn't like
Yeah.
tragic thing, it was just the lifespan of a dog. But
Neither or less, man. It's still sad. It's sad, man. That's your man's best friend. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I got an American pocket bully, and she's my everything. Before I had her, my last dog, I had a championship Gaudy line blue nose,
go ahead.
and she lived to 13 years old, and I actually ended up have to taking my own dog's life because I called every animal, every vet in my neighborhood. No animal or vet would take her until the next day because she wasn't a patient. She was seizuring. She was dying in my arms. Like
Yeah.
she was literally dying in my arms, you know? She was defecating and she was stuck like this too. Like she was like stuck like a board. Like you could, and she's just buddy, I'm telling you, man, she was looking at me like this through her eyes. She couldn't move, but she could move her eyes and she was just like had her tongue out. Like,
Yeah.
please, just, you know? I
Yeah.
even called. There's 3 companies that come to your house to euthanize your dog. They'll even,
Mhm.
and they were even busy, and they said it would have to be the next day. It was like every fucking animal was dying on that day. You know what I mean? And there
Yeah.
was no way in hell I would let my best friend live any much longer than that.
Yeah.
And man, it I'll just say it was hard, man. Let's
Yeah.
just say that. You know, it was hard.
We had,
So
similar things with it was the older dog Vinny that we had taken from that other lady. He actually had like an episode right kind of before Christmas,
mhm,
and we were walking because my wife was bedridden at that point, because we were so close to having
yeah,
Mary that I was doing the walking and he just stopped and like peed like solid blood.
man,
And he was old, like he was like
yeah,
14, and even when he was a puppy, he got hit by a car, so he had like a gimpy leg and
yeah.
blind eye and all the stuff.
Everything on top, yeah, you
Oh yeah.
name it, yeah,
And he
yeah,
powered through it. And I remember on that walk, I was like, just wait till my daughter's born. He was the most gentle soul of a dog being that old. And I was like, just wait till Mary's
mhm,
born. And I want to get that picture of you cuddling with
yeah,
her, or something. And so he did wait and he didn't die then. And he waited another like 2 months and he died in February after Mary had passed. And so that was the first one. Then Samson, the one that was mentally challenged.
mhm.
First, he got a lump on his paw, and we sent him to the other island. Providencialis, or Provo for short, is the bigger island, even though Grand Turk's the capital. And they have veterinarians there that actually come in for like 2 weeks, stay, work as a
Oh,
vet.
they'll fly over, okay,
Yeah, and it's kind of like
yeah,
there's like a communal house. I forget the name of there, but they come from Europe, Canada, States, whatever.
crazy,
They do 2 weeks, do veterinarian stuff in the morning, and then go enjoy themselves in the afternoon or whatever time, right? So they kind of get a working vacation, but it
yeah,
helps the smaller islands that just don't
yeah,
have that facility. So we sent him there, and it was cancer, and we were like shortly off of losing our daughter. And they're like, what do you want to do? Do you want to take the leg or put him down? And we were like, oh man, what a decision to make now. And we felt, because he was fairly young still, we were like, okay, take the leg. But we're like, are we doing this for us or for him? You
for
know?
him, yeah,
And so we ended up taking the leg, and he came back they flew him back over in his crate, and he was bandaged up at the shoulder where the front leg was gone. And we were like, still like, man, did we make the right choice here. And we opened up the crates so he could see all his other brothers and sisters and go into our house. And he started running around on his 3 legs and playing, and he was happy. And they told us that, most likely the cancer will come back. It did in the summer of that year, and it came back in his brainstem. So we ended up having to have a veterinarian come over and put him down.
Put him down.
But it was just a weird decision to have to make so shortly after a major loss.
Definitely.
And you're in that internal struggle. Do I put him down for his sake?
Yeah.
Am I doing this for my sake?
Holy man, that's hard on that's hard on the soul, man. Definitely too, and the heart, definitely.
Yeah, I think, still to this day, Lucy and I say we made the right decision because he was so happy after. And when it came back hard. He couldn't move. We flew the vet in. And
he got to enjoy his life, and he got to enjoy some more time. And like you said, he was running around. There's no price on that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, right? So you made the right decision, my friend. You made the right decision.
Yeah. And honestly, during that time, people kind of asked me how we got through stuff. A big one was the dogs, what we were told was a giant burden having that many dogs. And, we couldn't go to weigh at the same time and all that stuff. They became the reason we got up in the morning. They need to walk at 6:30 a.m., so it gave us a reason to still be alive and, and not take our own lives or, whatever was running through our heads at that point. There was dogs that relied on us to eat and walk and enjoy their lives. So, losing those guys was hard. And then we had to make a decision. Would we stay in the Turks and Caicos? We kind of, with every doctor we could see, whether it's UK, Turks and Caicos, or Canada, we had Lucy go and see him. And everyone, it was a consensus kind of thing that if you want to keep trying to have kids, you need to go to either Canada or the UK, a first world country. And so we made the decision to leave, had our house there. That was my career since 20 years old.
Wow. What made you move there, to the Bahamas? It's the Bahamas, right? Correct?
It's south of the Bahamas. So
south
it's
of Bahamas, yeah.
Honestly, it's the same string islands.
Yeah. Well, how you did you learn scuba diving there, or did you just kind of go there too and never come back as well?
No, I grew up always around water. We had a cabin out on the Pacific there on Avery Island that my grandfather had built.
Yeah. Okay.
Just kind of in between Powell River and Campbell River.
Yeah. No, my dad, he used to own a horse ranch in Powell River. I've been to Avery Island before. Yeah. They called it the Rock and Roll Horse Ranch.
Yeah,
people all over. Yeah, he had 7 horses. Well, he had 6, and then one of the horses was pregnant, so he got an extra horse out of it. Yeah.
I love it out there. I love Powell River. I love the coast.
It's so quiet, man. I got in an argument with this guy because I was telling him to go first, and he was telling me to go first. I was like, no.
The cashier at the grocery store at Save On, they remember us, and we only go there seasonally now.
Crazy.
And they still remember. It's totally different from Kelowna, Vancouver. Right?
Yeah. It's it's just a quiet town, right? It's a quiet town. And everybody knows everybody. Because I attempted to take my life in 2015, and I went there and I found myself again. But when I showed up there, I went to this bar. I don't think it's there anymore, but it was called the Zoo. Okay. And I went there, and everybody's looking at me, and all of a sudden, people oh, are you Martin's son? Are you the born son? It was, and then people are messaging me on because I was on the dating apps. People are hitting me up on the date. Hey, I saw you with it. It's such a. It was crazy, man. It was pretty funny, man. But I love Powell. Shout out to Powell River, man. Definitely.
I love that place, and you don't see I know you've definitely seen it on the coast there, and we have it now in Kelowna is the tent cities and all that stuff that just isn't out there.
No.
It's just a nice, clean city and really friendly people.
Definitely.
So Savory actually is where we buried our kids' ashes as well.
Okay.
just because it's a family property my grandfather built 10 years before I was born in 72. And I've been going there my whole life. And it's going to be that legacy property that my son will own
Nice.
one day. And we knew that kind of, going through that. And that's where we ended up burying our kids. But yeah, so after Lucy kind of did her appointments and all that stuff, and we found out she also lost an ovary during the
Oh, wow.
surgery.
Yeah.
So it was kind of up in the air. We knew we had to come back here. It was up in the air whether that would be for a surrogacy or a birth or getting Lucy pregnant again. I was for the surrogacy because she was kind of asleep during all this. Not to take away what she went through, but I was the eyewitness to a lot of that.
Yeah.
I was like, nope, not again.
Yep.
She felt that, that giving a natural birth was stripped away from her, So eventually we made the decision to come back to Kelowna in British Columbia here, where I was born and raised. And we had 6 dogs left at that time. And so we sent all of them to Providenciales or Provo, the bigger island, got them their shots, quarantined, so on. And I'd come back here, gotten a truck from my father. Actually, it was like his older truck. He wanted to update it. So perfect. I got a 1-ton Dodge.
Hell yeah, man.
Me and him drove it down to Florida. Well, the dogs were quarantining and Lucy was still on Grand Turk. And I bought a travel trailer and I was like, well, if we're moving back, I don't want to fly the dogs all that way either. Like that would be a big thing for all of them to go from plane to plane to plane.
And you can stop, let them out, go, and they get to see you and everything like that as well. And they're not stressed out like in a kennel the whole time in some dark room. Who knows what it's like there, right? So,
exactly.
Yeah.
And in the bottom of a plane, all the way to Toronto and then probably Toronto, Calgary or Toronto, Vancouver, and then Kelowna. It's just, that's a long trip.
Yeah.
For dogs that really never even rode in a car before.
Yeah. You don't need to stress them out any more than it is. You're moving them from one place to another already. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So we ended up shipping them to Miami. We had the truck and travel trailer there waiting for us. And we said, make the most out of it, have a bit of a healing journey on the way. So we spent just over 2 months. We did almost 20,000 kilometers. We zigzagged. We kind of went up and down. We hit, it was like almost, I think it was 23 states.
Wow.
We avoided all of the major cities, major attractions, and got to see like rural America.
Cool.
And it was awesome.
Wicked, man.
Like, one thing about I can say definitely that the States does way better than we do is, like our provincial parks, when you're camping, everything's like sandwiched together and so on. They have expansive parks. They're not worried about how much they're making per space or this and that. You parked with, especially for us with 6 dogs that like to bark, space and everything.
No one's right up against you. You can't hear your neighbors or whatever, to an extent anyways. But yeah, that's nice. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. So that was kind of a healing trip for the 2 of us. We got to concentrate on the dogs, but also concentrate on just husband and wife. Yeah, just kind of take our minds off it for a little bit.
Definitely.
Like it had been over a year since Mary died that we did that.
How did you guys feel after that? Do you think that it was like almost somewhat of a weight? I wouldn't say the full weight, but you know what I mean? Experience that with the dogs, and seeing like you said, the beautiful side of, the US and the back countries and stuff like that. How did that affect?
It definitely took our minds off of it and kind of gave us, I guess, having dogs that, like your dog's personality, what they like, smell, so on, so we kind of tripped these dogs out where like the island we lived on, they had the beach, they had all that stuff. They had wild donkeys and horses and cows to chase, but they had never swam in fresh water or
Mhm.
seen a deer or any of the other things that like you and I grew up with.
Yeah.
So we got to travel through all that stuff. We did the Grand Canyon. They were like barking
Oh,
at
wow.
you know, that kind of would just look over at them like, why are you even, barking at me? You're insignificant.
Yep. That's awesome, man.
Weren't even worried about 70-pound dogs barking at them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
and
That's
and got to
awesome.
get them to swim in the Pacific for the first time. In Georgia, they swam in the lake for the first time. And it was almost for me and Lucy, I guess it just took our minds off it that, we were able to kind of live the trip through their eyes, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was just, they had new smells. Arizona, they were trying to chase these jackrabbits that like would be like kind of huddled up in the bushes or the shrubs or the tumbleweeds. So once they kind of figured out that they could get a reaction out of an animal out of a bush, that would jump out and sprint like 30 miles an hour away, they thought every bush had these giant jackrabbits in it and stuff. So it was just entertaining for us to watch, honestly.
Yeah.
Just watch it through their eyes of learning the whole different.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
And you get to see their personalities and like be them, and each of them, like you said, right? Each of them have their own personalities, right? So you can, and it's a bonding moment too, man. I mean, I'm a huge animal lover. I'm more or less a dog lover. And then when I got custody of my daughter and she moved in, she came in with 2 kittens.
Yeah.
Well, she came in with a cat. The cat actually ran away. She was really upset. So I was like, okay, I'll get you another cat. Well, the lady had kittens and she wasn't just going to let one go. And I'm like, okay, I'm a big softie, so I'll take both of them. So I got peanut and butters, and I'm allergic to cats too, but like, I mean, anything for the kid too, at the same time.
Both Lucy and I are allergic to dogs.
Yeah, see, there you go, right? But you know what? You can get over those, and it's crazy. Like my cat allergy, like it only hits me maybe once in a blue moon now. Like I've and you can train your body, I guess, like that. So it's kind of
cool.
I
think just like being, I kind of had that allergy from when I was younger, but we had like hypoallergenic dogs. But just being around the dogs that shed and all that stuff.
Your immune, boost your immune.
Yeah, I think you just kind of get used, or maybe just we get used to it. Like,
yeah, could be.
Yeah. So we finally got back to Canada and we took up residence in a family cabin on Okanagan Lake here that
nice.
has been in our family since the 90s.
Yeah.
Small, but where you can have 6 dogs outside city limits. And it was perfect for us at the time. Then we sent Lucy off to Vancouver again, and there's one specialist there. Now, given a uterine rupture, usually when that happens in a hospital, the parents have a child. So usually they can get the kid out and everything's fine. It was just the delay that we had that stopped everything. Yeah. So there's not a lot of statistics on someone that or a couple that had a uterine rupture and wants to try again. Usually they're like, okay, I have my kid. That's, why go through this again, right?
Yeah.
So we were kind of unique in that way. I was still 100% on the surrogacy train. Just not even be in the room.
Yeah. Just call me in a week when it's done, right?
Let me know when my kid's ready.
Yeah.
So,
will it be potty trained?
Exactly. You can do the first few days.
Yeah.
So we kind of we sent Lucy to this doctor in Vancouver, and he was the specialist. He's one of the top guys in Canada, and he said, no, I think given like if we monitor you closely, lots of checkups, keep doing the ultrasounds, you can successfully have a child. So we kind of hit an impasse at that point. But slowly but surely, after probably a year and a half, 2 years, Lucy kind of wore me down. And I saw her side. Like I always saw her side of it.
Yeah.
I don't think either of us were wrong, right? Like I didn't want to go through something like that again.
Yeah.
Lucy wanted to successfully go through that. It was taken from her, right? It wasn't any fault of our own. It was the hospital. So it was
Yeah.
really just kind of stripped from her. So
But then also you don't wanna see her get upset in case something happens or whatever
or
too,
die.
right?
Like
Yeah,
she came close to
exactly.
dying. I
Yeah,
almost
man.
lost my daughter and my wife
Yeah,
on
yeah,
so that was, something I just really couldn't wrap my mind around. And with the PTSD, because I stopped taking those drugs and so I don't know if they would have helped or whatever. You're not going to be on that for
yeah.
years
No,
either, right?
no, yeah.
And
Just a Band-Aid.
yeah, so
That's
I
all it
had
is.
like nightmares or night terrors like almost every night where I'd wake up. It would be something like, I couldn't get to my daughter or my wife in my dream or something, and
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
just wired to help them, right?
yeah.
And so I'd wake up in like cold sweat kind of thing and like reach over and like my wife's there, wake her up,
Yeah.
unfortunately for her. Are you
But you
okay?
gotta make sure. Yeah,
Doing all that stuff. She'd calm me down. Again, she handled all this a million times better than I did. And dealing with it, I definitely turned to like drugs and alcohol, for
yeah,
I did all the wrong things,
yeah.
you know.
Well, I don't wanna say it's understandable, but I mean, like, when you're in a position like this is what happens in these situations sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a crutch, I've been there, I'm not perfect, you know what I mean? It's what happens sometimes, but look what you're doing now, and look what we got here, you know what I mean? So, fuck it all, buddy.
Well,
You
yeah,
kill it, you
the
know?
nice part was Lucy let me do what I guess she realized that I needed to do
Yeah,
to kind of get through it,
yeah.
but she also reined me back in, so
Yeah. Had
especially
a
out
rope to
there at the
pull
end.
you, like, only so far, and then you can only and then nope, too far,
Yeah,
pull you back. Yeah,
yeah. So I'd
yeah,
start drinking kind of like early in the day when work was
yeah,
done or whatever when we were in the Caribbean still. And there's only really two drugs down there, right?
yeah,
It's the white stuff for the green stuff.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
So I would get into that, but then by like 9 o'clock, I'd shut her down and go to bed, which she just, didn't get on my case for. I never went out, and it wasn't like I was out in the park doing it or
responsible as much as you could say, I guess you could say,
right,
is
as much
responsible,
as
yeah,
you can using.
responsible, yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
so I continued that in Canada too. While we were kind of at an impasse of what we were going to do to try and make our family whole. Finally, she convinced me, let's do it. And so I said, okay. We got pregnant again, which was never really a problem for us. Getting
mhm,
pregnant wasn't the issue.
yeah,
We got pregnant again. It was twins. And I was actually down on the Turks and Caicos because we had a hurricane. So I was working on our property there. And Lucy called me and said that she went for the scan. I left actually before we knew we were pregnant. And she had told me down there, and I had to spend a few months down there because we had gotten hit by two storms, I think, at that point.
mhm,
And so I was still working on everything. And she called me to say she went for the checkup, like the initial kind of
yeah,
checkup, and they
yeah,
couldn't find a heartbeat on either kid. So they sent her to the hospital for like a better kind of checkup
yeah,
or a machine that
yeah,
would sense it
the
better.
yeah, yeah, like the ultrasound or like a better
Yeah,
ultrasound
like a
kinda thing or
stronger,
something?
I
Yeah.
guess, ultrasound that would pick up the heartbeats. And so, yeah, they didn't find a
Oh,
heartbeat
man.
on either of the twins. And it turned out they were a boy and a girl as well. So we would have had, one of
Yeah.
each.
Yeah.
They sent them off to do like the tests on them and stuff. So again, I was gone. Then my wife had to go through all that,
Through all that. Yeah.
by herself with the dogs. At least
Yeah. On top of that too. But, I
yeah,
mean, she does have the dogs, which is loving, right? That's just pure love right there, so thank God she had that.
she had the dogs and like thankfully like a lot of I mean I talk about this in the book too is like what got us through a lot of the stuff is I have the same circle of childhood friends to this day, as much as my parents were always there and so on. They're split up, but they were always, and Lucy's parents too. But
Mhm.
sometimes it's you don't want to hear from someone in their 70s or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it was having those people there. So my friends' wives were really there
Nice.
for Lucy and kind of went to the hospital appointment where she would have to like induce or take the
Yeah.
drugs to expel the twins.
Yeah.
And then I came home. I said I was done at that point. It was too much nightmares, night terrors, and I kind of resolved myself to just let the dream die at that point.
Mhm.
I'll just live out my life. I won't be a father. That's fine. And Lucy, again, being like the level headed one, kind of just slowly, hey, this is what we both want, and nurtured me back into trying again. I said I would try one more time under the agreement that whatever the fate of that child was would be my fate. And she agreed. So I was ready that if it was a loss, then
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't really just deal with that. I think.
Well, your own mental state, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Going through that,
Yeah.
definitely. At this point, it's about your own mental state now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just more nightmares, more loss,
Yeah.
more. So I agreed and we got pregnant again. We had another storm. So I had to go back to
Oh
Grand
my
Turk.
God, really?
And we had other renos going. We had gotten another property. So I was down there and it was the exact same timeline. We got pregnant. I found out from Lucy while I was in Grand Turk. Then on the day of the first scan, same thing. She called me and I was waiting for a call. And it was kind of the end of, we're 3 hours different, right? Because we're on West Coast
Yep.
here. There's East Coast. So it was kind of the end of the day of work. My routine always was to wash off paint and tile mud and whatever else, to go down to the beach,
Mhm.
have a swim, have a drink, so on.
You're in
So
the
she had,
Bahamas. You wanna relax, enjoy yourself at
yeah,
the same time,
exactly.
man,
Watch the
definitely.
sunset at the end. Like you're
Yeah,
still
man.
working, but at
Yeah.
least just take that hour to kind of like enjoy
Soak
it.
it all up in, man.
Yeah,
That's life right there. Like, you can't no one can recreate a beautiful sun,
yeah,
how it is, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
enjoy it, right?
So we were working. She called me first scan, couldn't find a heartbeat. And so I went down to the beach, same beach I kind of always swim at that no one's really at.
Mhm.
And my plan was I was sitting there with the phone in my hand. She was going to the hospital for the better scan, but I had just done this a year prior, right? So
Mhm.
in my head and given all the losses, I was like, okay, this is we know the outcome, right? And I was convinced in my head that that was the case. And my plan was to just start swimming. And it was dusk, and I've spent enough time in the water with 3,500 dives and God knows how many hours on boats and underwater that I knew at sunset that if I started swimming out, something would tug on my leg eventually, and it'd be pretty quick after that. So I went down there, sat in the
Whoa.
water, like chest deep, and had my phone, and my wife
Like,
called.
are you oh, you're, deep in the water, or are you, standing chest deep?
So I was standing chest deep, but down in the Turks and Caicos, or in Grand Turk at least, we have what's called the wall, which is drop off that
Drops.
goes from about 50 feet down to about 6,000 feet.
Holy
So once you
shit.
swim over that, all the big pelagics and all the big boys are
Yeah.
hunting, and they're hunting at night, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it wouldn't take too long, I don't think,
Yeah. Yeah.
to sort myself out. So I
Man.
stood there looking at my phone. She called and she said they found the heartbeat. And
Man.
yeah, and I'm not ashamed to say I sobbed like a baby and
Hmm.
screamed out to the horizon.
Fucking
Thank
rights.
God for it. And so I did my work, came home, and I think I came home Christmas Day or something, and went through everything, went to the scan for the sex, everything was fine. Went to the next scan, everything was fine. And now we're in like February, March. They say, at least in Canada or BC here where we're from, 24 weeks is a viable pregnancy.
Mhm.
So 2 weeks before my son was unexpectedly born, we kind of quietly celebrated like we made it past 24 weeks.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we did that. Then on April 3rd, there was one of my buddies in Grand Turk that was like, oh, send me some pictures of Lucy's stomach, sticking out. Did that. We had a good dinner, went to bed thinking it was just another night. I was, now not sleeping, not because of night terrors, but I was excited, to be.
Yeah, definitely.
We'd named them, it was kind of becoming a reality that in the summer for Kelowna, we have nice summers here, and that I would be, hanging out with an infant. And then April 4th, I came up to my dad's acreage or farm here. His wife's a veterinarian, so they have horses, and helped them fix a couple fences. And during that, my wife called she's an accountant, so she was kind of in the peak part of tax season. And she called and said, I'm bleeding, get to the hospital. So I flew as fast as I could drive, ran a few lights, and drove like a complete asshole to try and
I
get
did too, brother. I did too with my daughter. I did it with my kid's mom sitting beside. I used to drive a Nissan 350. Okay, so like I was flying. I was young, stupid, not thinking. Like I got the pregnant woman beside me, and I'm flying like an idiot. What am I doing? But I'm like scared. Like, oh, I'm having a baby. What am I? You know what I mean, right? That's what it is. Like, what do I do? What do I do? Yeah, definitely.
My whole plan was like, if I see the cherries behind me, the red and blue, I'm just gonna keep going into the hospital and be like, here's my fucking keys.
Yeah, me too. I was gonna do same thing. I'm like, I told her, I'm like, I'm not stopping. They can give us a route right all the way to the hospital, and I'll deal with them. You can go inside. That's what. Yeah.
Pound my car. I don't fucking care. There's more important shit going on now.
Yeah. Exactly.
But no one stopped me. I did get a parking ticket because I did probably the same thing you did, and just got parked. It was like, this is the closest spot. By the time I got in, they had already moved her from emergency up to whatever ward the maternity ward.
Yeah.
They were asking about our history and so on, because it was a completely different OBGYN.
Yeah.
There was two in there. One was very focused on my wife. The other one was too. But at some point, I guess, the nerves, the PTSD, everything, being in a hospital, I'd avoided hospitals, doctor's offices, everything after Mary had died. And I ended up, sitting there, and I was just trying to focus on what they're saying, wife and so on. I felt a hand on my shoulder, and it was the other OBGYN that had kind of noticed me like shaking.
Oh, really?
I hadn't even really noticed it till she put her hand on my shoulder, and I was like, well, that's
Brought you back into reality a little bit there too, right?
Yeah, and it was just like, it's hard after the kind of like tragedy and kind of loss to like our daughter. It's hard not to go to like a dark place in your head, right? You're like, every time something bad happens, you're like, well,
Yeah. Well, I mean, because it's just been nonstop, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know a little about me, but like that's with me with death, man. Like I've lost so many people back to back to back. Like I lost 3 friends in 1 month, 2 of them in 1 week. Then I lost my best friend. Then I lost my dog. Then I lost my fiance. And then now my mom is slowly dying of lung cancer in both her. She goes in 2 weeks to find out. So I know, I know it, man. You know what I mean? I know all about it, brother. Trust me, I know. I just want to let you know.
Your mind's great at going to like dark places. Like it's hard to be optimistic. It switches right to, well, this is what I've experienced. Well, obviously this is going to go to shit.
Well, that's what else do you got now? Like throw it at me. Like that's what I would say. Like, oh, what else? What's next? And I'd be looking for it because it happens all the time. My buddy I used to work with, I had 1 year, I had at least one friend die a month. Okay. At least multiple in the months, right? Because the whole fentanyl thing, and also suicides and car crashes too, drinking, driving, right? And freak deaths, right? Don't get me wrong. But this guy at work used to call me Dr. Death, man, because like I'd have friends all the time. And I'm like, what the hell? He'd be like, buddy, I don't even want to talk to you. I don't want to shake your hand. I don't even want to work beside you, man. He's like, everybody around you just seems to die. I'm like, fuck, thank you, asshole. Like, what the hell, man? You know what I mean? But it's just, And that's what I'm saying. It's like I like what's next? Like that's what it's like. You're just looking for the darkness, man. Like
Yeah.
I totally know it, man. I totally do.
Yeah.
Now I'm not. I got a podcast and fucking doing all this good shit, but but at the time it's very dark, man.
It's hard not to go to the negative stuff when that's
Yeah.
kind of being the, what's going on, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, at some point they looked at Lucy's stats, almost the same thing as what happened with Mary. They whisked her out of the room. I was left alone in this room, which percent fine. They're dealing with my wife, right?
Yeah.
But again, your mind wanders,
Yeah.
and my father had followed me because we were working on the fence together. He'd followed me to the hospital, but he was in the waiting room. And I remember when he was kind of in charge of the adult mental health here in Kelowna after he kind of went from therapist to management, and he kind of had to dispatch social workers for tragedies. Like we had at Big White here at the ski hill, one kid had fallen off and died, and I remember him dispatching social workers on the weekend there and having to work and so on. So I kind of knew what social workers did, or at least I thought I knew what social workers did. So the first person, and if I ever see this lady, I'll just apologize. But she came in and she's like, "Hi, I'm a social worker," so on and so forth. I don't want to talk to a social worker. In my head, that meant the worst had happened, right? And I kind of was pretty snippy with her. And then she was like, "No, if you have to go to Vancouver, here's like the hotels that are close to the hospital."
Yeah, she gave me all the info.
The information on Ronald McDonald House. She had, like the printouts, and she was just there to help.
Yeah.
I assume she was there to give me the horrible news that everyone was dead, or whatever. So I ripped her head off. She kind of explained herself. She eventually left. And then a gentleman with a South African accent came in that was the pediatrician. And he's like, "Do you want to meet your son?" And again, my mind being what it was, I was like, "Is he alive?" And he kind of gave me the weird look.
Because he doesn't know, right? He didn't know.
Yeah, he didn't know the history, and he's like, "Yeah, of course he's alive." And then I tried to ask about my wife, and he kind of blew that off. Like, "She'll be okay. You can meet her later, but most important, come meet your son." I remember very vividly walking down the hallway, and there was this. I mean, my son was this big, and I was able to give them his name, which Lucy and I had decided on, which was Otto, after my grandfather on my father's side, and give a hand hug, as we learned in the NICU. Just stick my hand in there and give him some comfort. And they had intubated him because they were anticipating him to fly to Vancouver, and they didn't want the air ambulance staff to have to try to put a tube down his throat mid-flight just in case there's turbulence, whatever.
Yeah.
So he was attached to every wire and beeping thing, and it all just seemed to kind of bypass me because the reality of trying to have a kid for 10 years. I mean, there was finally a living, breathing, albeit very small baby in front of me, my son.
It's amazing, man.
And I've, finally, even though we always told ourselves that we would say, we are parents, even though we had deceased children. It was the first time I really felt like a father. Yeah, and of course, compounding on top of that, they were like, "You're going to Vancouver, so your ambulance is coming."
You go to Children's?
Yeah.
They're amazing. Fuck, are they amazing, dude?
I can't say enough amazing stuff about them or Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah. So when my daughter got her face torn off, I'm telling you, man, it was horrible. Like the doctor's like, "Do you want to see it?" I was in Royal Columbia, that's in New West first, right? That's because that's where they brought her. And I could see, like, you could open up, you could see right through her mouth. Like it was bad, man. I'm telling you, bad. So they got an ambulance. Her mom went in the ambulance, and I drove my truck, and I met them at the Children's.
Children's.
And they came up to us and they said, "There's a a plastic surgeon here that is one of the best in the world from, I think, Denmark. And she's here actually teaching a course. And is it okay is if she does this surgery and there'll be 18 other doctors that are watching her in there because she's teaching. It's like,
Yeah.
is it okay if she does it? We're like, fuck yeah, right?
Do whatever you got.
Yeah. So they came. So she comes up and she's like, I promise you, I will do the best that I can. She's like, but only one parent's allowed to come in. So her mom went in. I stayed out. And then when she came out, she's like, I'm not bullshitting you. These are the best stitches I've ever done in my life. She's like, they're so tight. You're barely gonna be like, you will always see a scar, but you will barely see this scar when she's older. And plus her head is so small right now, it's gonna grow. Her scar
Yeah.
now is right over here, and it's right over here. And you cannot tell, man, unless you like really move her hair and look. You
Yeah.
cannot tell. And it was just amazing. So I just shout out to Children's Hospital, man. You know, they were amazing. Oh, wow. And the day
Yeah.
after her surgery, my daughter had this like monkey thing that had like you can like it's like a stuffy. And
Yeah.
she's got the stitch, she's got the patch on her face, but she's walking around like nothing happened the next day, man. Like I'm like, I would be crying in the corner, like with my thumb in my, you know what I mean? Like definitely, man. Like they just amazing hospital, man. I just shout out to them.
Yeah, they're incredible. Everyone we interacted with there was just
Yeah.
amazing. We eventually, we flew. Me and Otto flew. Lucy was still
Awesome.
recovering because it was another uterine rupture.
Mhm.
So Lucy had again burst from the inside
Oh,
and needed to recover before she could join us. Of course, we had a small window, so I had to race home, get stuff,
yeah, stuff, yeah.
then pack my wife's stuff, which I'm not great at, but I also thought it would be kind of a short trip. So we ended up going with what I had. The dogs I sent up with my father with her SUV. He dropped me back at the hospital because he came out and got the dogs with me because he was waiting there.
Yeah.
And he looked after them, which we thought was for a week or two. Ended up being over 3 months.
Wow. Good for him. Good for
Yeah.
him helping out, man.
Yeah. And his wife's a veterinarian too. So it was
Perfect.
as much as you don't want to be away from your dogs, they were in the best capable hands, especially
yeah.
old dogs. By that time, Tubby and Trixie were like 4.
Okay.
So they,
medicine maybe so he can at least knows how to give it to you properly, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
deal with them. So so he did that. We waited when I flew to Vancouver. It was around 11, and we were able to at least, in my head, at least kind of right or wrong, because I had to be the one that told Lucy that Mary had passed. So I kept asking, like, can I see my wife? Can I see my wife? Because I was excited to say that, our son's alive.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah. And so finally they're like, okay, she's coming out of the drugs.
Oh, good.
Go tell her. So I followed a nurse down, left Otto in his incubator, and followed the nurse down as we kind of did the maze of the hospital. Rounded finally a corner to a hallway. I could see Lucy at the end coming out of the drugs, still groggy. And I was just excited to tell her, and she looked at me, kind of put her finger in there, and she's like, we did it.
That's awesome.
And so that's the reason I booked
awesome, man.
we did it. And so I didn't get to tell her, even though, but that was enough to, put me in tears.
and you got the title for it.
Yeah.
You can't ask but that's awesome, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that was
Amazing.
the whole reason I titled the book that. We were able to go up. Lucy got to meet Otto before we left. We were only in Vancouver for a day, myself and Otto, before Lucy came. They wanted to get the mothers there real quick. Even though she wasn't that far along, to try and get whatever breast milk they can out of her, to, that initial part's the important.
Just the bonding too, man. You know what I mean? Even that too, the bonding too,
Yeah. And it's
All of
just,
it.
the initial
Yeah.
everything, right? And I was just like the nervous dad,
Yeah.
like the first time being
What do
like,
I do? What do I do?
I don't
What
want
do
to
I
make
do?
it's bad, I don't, So they were so good again to BC Children's Hospital. As much as they were amazing dealing with my son, they were even better dealing with like a frazzled dad. Now it was like 1 in the morning. I still smoked at the time. They're like telling me stuff in my head. I'm like, I haven't had a cigarette in like 6 hours. Can I just like go outside and try and clear my head? Where can I do that? They just walked me and held my hand through everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they were so good with that.
Yeah.
And then yeah, Lucy finally came. The first couple weeks was just get them to grow, give them food and so
Feed 'em.
on,
Yeah.
feed them, and just slowly up the amount of food.
No.
And then at one point, he just started coughing up all of his food. So they thought it was something called neck, which is like perforation in the intestine.
Yeah.
So they said they had to do a surgery, which again, he was 2 pounds.
Yeah.
He wasn't strong enough to take him to the operating room, so they did it right in his room, in his
Oh,
incubator.
wow.
Pop off. Went through everything with us. You meet with everybody.
Yeah, do it all over again.
Yeah,
Like, yeah. Oh,
and you're
man.
like, here we go. How again your mind goes
What
to
a fucking
place.
roller coaster, brother. What
Yeah.
a like there's no other word to say it, man. Like
Oh,
it's a fucking roller coaster.
yeah.
Like have you been to the wooden one at P&E here in Vancouver?
Yeah.
It's like that, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
don't know if it's gonna fall apart whenever part, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
holy fuck, bro.
And
I'm
it can
really
happen
sorry,
like
man.
in a day.
Yeah.
Like it happens like you have a great morning and then you're like, oh shit, he could die in
Yeah.
the evening, and it came as hard and fast. And so they did the surgery. It turned out it wasn't neck. It was something worse and more rare called a
Oh man.
volvulus, I think, which is like a twist in the intestine. So they were able to cut that out. They
Also, new
attached.
food or anything could go through. Is that why? Because it was almost like a knot in a
Yeah, it was
sense.
just not. So he wasn't getting nutrients
Fuck.
from that. So they cut that. They gave him an ostomy bag. So attached that part of the
Yeah.
intestine to the bag. And then the other part of the intestine, they just attached to like your skin. So he has like 2 little scars and a big scar from when they opened him up. It's just incredible what this surgeon was able to do. They pulled what it sounds like, all of his intestines out to check all of it for any
Wow.
perforations or anything. This is on a 2-pound.
And I was gonna say, like, wow. That's why I'm like, wow. Wow, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was on a 2-pound, 26-week, at that point, 28, 29-week-old baby that really hadn't gained much weight or anything. And so
Wow.
obviously we were terrified. They say go somewhere while it's happening. It's gonna be 4 or 5 hours or whatever. We just paced the hospital grounds. It was at least nicer by that point. It was I think it was in May. So it was kind of getting nicer on the coast, right?
Yeah.
And being a water guy as well, just being able to kind of go out around that place, you can kind of smell the ocean still and stuff.
Yeah.
So it gave me a little bit of peace, nostalgia, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
had trouble breathing, like it was, of course, you go again right to the worst outcome, in your head. They finally called us back in. They said it was successful, went through all that. Then it was the recovery. So they said they want him to get to 6, 7 pounds. It's going to be 6, 8 weeks. And we want him to be a lot stronger before he kind of put his intestines back together.
So was he getting fed through like a feeding tube then? Is that how, for the time being,
Yeah, he had what's called a PICC line that starts at your wrist and actually goes up into your heart. And that gave him a lot of the nutrients or drugs that he could need.
Okay.
And then also he had a feeding tube once he started to recover from that. And they would slowly up his feeds with that as well.
Okay.
Knowing that when they put him back together, they would have to stop all that and you kind of restart the process.
Okay.
So about, I think it was 10 days, 2 weeks after that, he had it's like desatting. So basically he would be, they said, or they think is in so much pain and discomfort that he would brace and stop his heart.
What?
So he ended up doing that over and over until one day we were in there in the late morning and he decided to stop his heart completely, or whatever decided to stop his heart completely. They hit the resus alarm, which is a sound I'll never want to hear again. Basically alerts the entire ward, any available
It's like
nurses.
a code blue. I think it's
Yeah.
a code blue, right?
Yeah, it's basically code blue. Any
Yeah.
available staff come.
Yeah.
And so he, stopped breathing, heart stopped. Everyone came, filled the room. The nurse, to all her credit, again, dealing with parents and dealing with everything that they do while resuscitating, bagging my son. She made sure to look over to me. I had at that point kind of shielded Lucy's head in my chest. And I was like, if this is the last vision of our
Yeah.
son, I don't want her to have it.
Yeah.
I want, I already,
Yeah.
scarred
Yeah.
and my
Yeah, I
mind's
hear you.
already scrambled. So I was like, I don't want her to see him go.
Protecting her over it.
Yeah. And while I had her head in here, the nurse and the RT, the respiratory guy that were reviving him, the nurse looked over at me, looked me right in the eyes twice. And we're like, we got him. He's going to be okay. And this is while he had stopped
Wow.
breathing, his heart had stopped. And she's saving him while making sure we knew that he would be fine. So that
Wow.
I think that takes a special individual.
I'm getting like fucked, buddy. I can't even explain. Like, it's just the feelings to my body, man. Like, what amazing person to to like that. Good for her, man. They don't make them like that anymore, man. My mom's a nurse, and like she's the old school. Make sure, like, we used to have people sending flowers and cards and chocolates always to the house because how my mom, she's not just there for a paycheck. She's actually there for love, right? A lot of these, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of nurses out there that are there for paychecks. I've been in the hospital a fair share of times. I know, what I mean? I know, right?
Yeah,
Wow,
no,
good for her, man.
whatever they screen people for to work in that NICU, I don't know. But they must take like nursing and some sort of like counseling stuff to just deal with it and have the mindset to do that in an emergency. That'll always stick with me for the rest of my life is, her reaching, like looking me in the eyes and saying that it'll be okay. At that point, it didn't mean a lot.
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah.
Not
Well, you're everywhere, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it makes sense that but now, like, clear-headed, like they say, like, clear heads prevail or whatever, fight, but blah, that bullshit. But it's true. It's like you're clear-headed, you see, and how much that did affect you,
Yeah.
and your subconscious, even though we don't really have a lot of control over our subconscious, but your subconscious is seeing this and reflecting this, and it's keeping that in there for when you are ready to actually feel that and experience that in your head because it's not all dark, then exactly, man.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot. Sorry.
Yeah, so they were able to bring him back. Part of the reason I wrote the book too is just there's not a lot of like fathers versions of a lot of this, even child loss or the NICU. And again, I love the fact that they focused on my wife, but after that happened, they did send in like a social worker, and we were sitting together on the couch, and the social worker sat in between us and asked how my wife was doing. Again, no fault to them. We're kind of the background, but there wasn't really any focus on how I was doing, right? And I was probably doing worse than Lucy at that point. Again, to give all the credit to my wife for being a level-headed individual. So yeah, after that, he had an infection. He was septic from the surgery and from, I think, just his intestines kind of spilling into the blood system.
Oh yeah.
He dehissed, so they basically had to like snip the stitches on his cut and just let it be open, which was gross, but he's alive, so he kind of
Yeah.
About 4 days later, he did the same thing and decided to stop his heart. So again, they hit the alarm. Everyone came in. He was fine, or they brought him back. During that time, even from the beginning, he had what was called a PDA, which is kind of like a leaky valve in your heart. When kids are born, it seals off. It's something that provides oxygen to other parts. Again, don't quote me. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
I've learned more about this kind of stuff than I wanted to.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough, brother.
So they were treating the PDA with Tylenol, aspirin, which is kind of their acetaminophen or whatever, which is their normal process to try and close that valve. They weren't able to. His PDA was considered significant. So they kept trying rounds of drugs. At some point, they say, nope, he's got to have surgery. So now you're hearing, we've gotten past the stomach surgery. He still has the bag, the ostomy bag. We're waiting for him to have heart surgery now, basically. Doctor flew in, similar to your situation. Doctor was there from Ontario, from Toronto, and he was specialized in not having to like open the chest up and fix it. He was specialized in being able to go through the femoral artery and come up, put a clamp on that valve and come out. So it's a way less invasive surgery, but it's still your son that's 4 pounds at most, and you're hearing heart surgery now. So you're like, oh God, here we go.
Yeah.
So we scheduled for that. We went through, the night before, sleepless, coming in. We were blessed to stay at Ronald McDonald House after a couple of weeks at a hotel, which again is as amazing a facility as BC Children's. I mean, they just make you feel comfortable in there. They know everyone in there is going through a shitty time, right? Because their kids are in the hospital. So, we kind of learned early on that we hopefully would have a positive outcome and go home, but there's parents in there with kids with cancer and that might not be going home with their family, right? So, you kind of are in that aspect of things, trying to be as respectful as you can. Also going through your own shit at that point.
Yeah.
So we had the heart surgery scheduled, went in. It was that day. We met with a surgeon. They did an ultrasound or a scan of his heart. It was still significant. The surgery was scheduled for about 3 hours from then. So they came, they took him. That time he was big enough and strong enough to go down to the OR.
Nice.
They brought him down, sedated him. Right before they cut, the surgeon himself did another scan of his heart and it had closed. Something that had been a problem at that point for weeks, almost a couple of months.
The valve closed? You said that? Wow.
Which 3 hours before it was still significant. It had been a problem since we had gotten there, but it was kind of put on the back burner because other stuff was more of an issue.
Yeah.
And so he knocked him out, did the scan. We kind of went on our walk again to just,
process,
not
try to
sit
process
in the
everything.
same room, right? And just stare at the wall. So we got a call pretty early on from the surgeon. Shit, something bad happened, right? And he's like, don't be upset, don't be afraid, everything's fine. I don't know how, but this PDA, this leaky valve in the heart, closed itself somehow in the last 3 hours.
Wow.
No one could explain it. I chalk it up to being a miracle.
Just some angel just pushed it closed, brother.
I think so.
Mary, brother.
Yep. I think so. Honestly, it's even all the staff, you do rounds every morning and, and all the staff the next day, they kind of came in being like, Otto was going to surgery and now he didn't have surgery. What happened? And, you got 20 hospital staff, all the specialists sitting around. They're like, I don't know how this happened, but I'm so glad this poor kid didn't have to go through, another surgery. And so, I've said, I that's for sure the miracle I've witnessed in my life.
Definitely.
There's no other explanation to me. So he recovered from that, and that being closed diverted more blood to his wound, to his stomach. So he started digesting better, started healing better. And then we had the putting him back together surgery, which at that point he kept getting bumped because other kids were more urgent care.
Priority,
we kind of get a date and then a child that needed it more, which we were sympathetic to for sure, would get the surgery. But then we were kind of like, can we get home? Now we're in the summer, we're in like June.
Yeah.
4th.
What was the date he was born on? Was it the 4th?
April 4th, yeah.
So he's got the same birthday as me then. Hell yeah,
really?
brother. yeah, man. April 4th. Yeah.
Yeah. So and it goes back to the 4s. Yeah. So we weren't as nervous at that point. He was like 6.5 pounds. We were kind of in the let's get home phase.
Man.
Also our dogs were, 14, 15 for Tubby and Trixie. We had 3 left at that point. And, I was like, I just want the old dogs to meet my child, Again, selfish for everything what was going on. But yeah, so he had that surgery. It went fine. We did the recovery stuff. And then eventually they sent us back to Kelowna for a week. And we did some like field trips going home, meeting the dogs, which is a very emotional thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and eventually they sent us home for good, which was it was August 3rd. Nerve-wracking.
Yeah, definitely.
We had medical professionals around
Yeah.
us for the first 3.5 months.
What do we do? It's now it's up to us to do it. Yeah.
And call the nurse in now, you know? Oh,
You guys come with us or what?
exactly. It was as much as we wanted to leave, you were
Yeah.
so nervous for leaving. But then, yeah, we had just an amazing time. Obviously, all friends, family came over and visited. And again, we were still at our cabin out on the lake here on the west side of Kelowna. And then August 18th, I think it was, we took him to get one of his vaccinations, one of just the routine ones
Mhm.
or whatever. And it was in West Kelowna there. And there was a little like plume of smoke up in the hills. And we talked to the nurse that gave him the shots, and she lived closer, like kind of in West Kelowna, Glen Rosa kind of area. And she was like, "Oh, I hope we don't have to evacuate." We were 30 miles away, and we are like, "Oh, well, we won't have to. Let's go home. We'll just watch it." Kept watching. Well, the wind picked up. We hit the oh shit moment. I was like to Lucy, I was like, "Okay, you go into Kelowna. I'll stay with the dogs, and I can go the back way towards like Vernon, like around the lake, kind of." She got about 10 minutes away, and the fire had already jumped the road.
Oh,
So she
wow.
turned around, came back. We loaded everything up that we could in two of our daily drivers, and headed
What
out.
year is this?
2023. It was
Is that one with like even like the roads you couldn't see? I see all the videos. It was crazy.
the one
And the
where they
fire
were
was coming
jumping in
over the
lake to
mountain.
get away from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the hill and the fire was coming over the hill, and people were watching from the lake and seeing it. Oh, yeah, man, that was a crazy fire, dude.
Yeah. I think McDougal Creek or something it's called or whatever. They always name it after like
yeah.
these rivers or creeks you never heard of.
Yeah, yeah.
I've spent a lot of time in the bush
Yeah.
hunting and fishing and whatever, but yeah, I have no idea where
It's
McDougal
just a
Creek.
puddle somewhere.
Exactly. So yeah, we waited to hear that they were evacuating some people, and we loaded. She was already loaded. I loaded what I could with the dogs. 3 dogs takes up a fair amount of
Yeah,
room.
man.
We left, and it took weeks for us to find out because they had blocked that side off. They blocked the lake off, so on and so forth. Finally, on my birthday, September 10th, we took our boat out that we take to the coast, the one that we usually have at Savory for fishing. And we took that out, and everything was gone.
Really?
So, but
My God.
I mean, something that normally would be extremely upsetting honestly wasn't, because we had our kid, we were home,
Yeah.
everyone was fine.
Yeah.
Obviously a little upset about it, but at the end of the day, it kind of, I guess, Otto being in our lives just gave us a different focus, and gave us just a bit of healing on tragic things,
Yeah.
so on and so forth. So we're able to brush it
Oh,
off and focus on our kid, and we've done that ever since. We
wow,
haven't
man.
rebuilt yet. We will eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it takes time, brother. But I mean, one time hey, man, just spend this time right now while you can with the little guy, man. You know what?
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
what most part. At least you have a roof over your head right now. You got food on the table,
Yep.
and you got your family, man. What else? And your dogs, right? So what else can you ask for?
We have 2 dogs left.
2
We have
dogs.
Tubby.
My
We have
apologies, but
Tubby.
yeah.
Trixie died in Otto's first trip to Savory. I had to bring. It was a monumental thing for me to bring a 4th generation to Savory, to the cabin my grandfather built, and be able to bring my son there, who's named after my grandfather. So that
That's
was
amazing,
a
man.
huge thing. So just having those things in our lives, having my son there, it just made everything kind of, it's all noise at that point, belongings, and it didn't matter. But
Yeah.
that's where, when we had Tubby, Trixie, and Chance still, it was Otto's first trip that Trixie, at like 15 and a half, got up
Good
for.
life for a dog, man.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
she got up for breakfast one morning, her legs went straight, and it took
Yeah.
about 5 minutes, and she was gone, so we buried her there.
Yeah.
But Tubby, her sister, the one that was they were all born under our deck now 17 years ago. We just celebrated, it was January 15th, was her 17th birthday.
Wow.
We made her a steak dinner.
Good for her.
She's got
I
dementia, and she's
yeah.
gonna cross that rainbow bridge soon. But
Yeah.
yeah,
See, I had a Shih Tzu, and he made it to 18 years old, man.
yeah,
18
this
years old.
is long,
Tough
right?
little bastard. He lost most of his. He had like 4 teeth left. I'll tell you that, right? But he was a tough little bastard, man. But we ended up euthanizing him because it was just, he couldn't walk. Like he was going blind. He could still see, but then he wasn't walking properly, and he would fall down, and he was peeing and shitting himself. So
Yeah.
at that point, it was emotional too, because I had him for 18 years. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like I'm 41 right now. So that's a
Yeah.
good portion of my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
Tubby was born under our deck. I'm 43.
yeah,
And Tubby was born under our deck in my 20s. Like, that seems
yeah,
like so long ago.
yeah,
She's close, we'll have to pull the trigger at some point,
yeah,
if she doesn't just go the way of her sister and just,
yeah,
every time she's sleeping really soundly, you put a hand on her chest,
yeah.
but she's lived a great life, and lived basically 2 lives.
Yeah.
One on the beach in the Turks and Caicos, and one in Canada. So
Being farther than I have, she's been in more places than I have. I'll tell you that, man. She's had a more interesting life than I have, man. I've only been in a couple places in my life, man, and so
but even, going back to when Trixie died, normally when a dog died, even the dogs that died here in Canada, my wife and I would, more me than Lucy, just go into a bit of a spiral, just dealing with death
Yeah.
and loss. And when Trixie died, it was sad, but it didn't send me into that kind of spiral because Otto was there,
yeah,
like he
yeah.
honestly healed so many scars and the pain, and I don't have the nightmares anymore. I don't,
It's amazing, man.
I'm able to just focus
Yeah.
on him and my marriage, and everything kind of just revolving around our little family.
I just want to say, man, I'm proud of you and your family, and especially Otto, man. That guy is a fucking warrior, brother, and he's gonna do something great in this life, man. You know what I mean? He really will. Being through all that, so I just
think
want to
so.
say I'm proud of
We
all you
keep
guys.
we keep telling ourselves he's destined for something, because
Has to be, man. You can't keep a brother down. You know what I mean? Like he's a fighter. You know what I mean? He's a fighter, and he's here for a reason. And he's gonna do something in this world, man. Eventually, when he gets up to that age, he will do something in this world.
and for now, we just, we completed our family, and gave us a purpose again.
Nice. Just wait till though he starts talking back. Then it's gonna be a little bit. When I went through that, but you love him, man. At the end
It
of the day, you
started a
love
little
him.
bit already. Like, we're in that toddler thing. Like, he used to go with whatever we said, hey,
Yeah.
let's do this. Now it's like,
Yeah.
no, I want
Yeah.
it,
Well, you're not cool enough, Dad. You're not cool. Get out of my room, Dad. You're not cool.
Yeah. There's definitely a big attachment to Mom. Like, Dad can go and do some cool stuff with him, but at the end of
Yeah.
the day, he wants Mom.
Yeah. That's okay, brother. That's okay. Well, man, I would say this is probably out as one of my longest episodes, man. I loved it, bro. I mean, I had a great time. I can't believe like what happened, but I'm so like my condolences for everything, and may Mary and the rest of the unborn, may they rest in peace, man. My condolences for you guys.
Thank
You know, and you have such a strong family. You're strong, your wife's strong, and Otto is the strongest, I'd have to say, out of all you guys. He's a tough motherfucker, that little guy right there, man, and he's going to be,
Yeah.
So lots of love. And I just want to say I'm glad like you reached out and then got back to me again. So I'm happy you did, man. And you will always be a part of the Raw Minds family, man. I want you to know that. So if you want to tell people one last time where they can find your book, and you guys better like, this is my next book I'm reading it, man. So you guys better pick this shit up too. Seriously.
Yeah, no, it's available on Amazon. You can get the Kindle version. It's also available on Barnes and Noble and wherever else, we've kind of put it out there for everyone. We've heard back, pretty good response from people, and especially from a dive instructor that, never thought I'd ever write a book.
The hell yeah, man. I'm proud of you. Hell yeah. And you can find it all in the bio below as well. So it'll be on the bio. So the links will be there so you can pick that up as well. And just so you know, I am actually as well working on a memoir. I'm figured out something and now I'm scrapping the whole thing and rechanging it all over again.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting going through all that, man. So
Yeah.
I'm on
Well,
that journey now.
we
Pardon me?
we kind of discovered the process as we went or whatever.
Yeah.
So reach out if you
I
if you
appreciate that, man.
if you know anything.
I really do appreciate that. Well, thank you again, man. I really appreciate you coming on to Raw Minds and sharing this. And your strength is hopefully, it's so powerful, man. And I hope other people that listen to this can show that, even when it gets tough, man, like there is beautiful things happen, and just have faith at the end of the day, have faith.
Yeah.
So on that note, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for
Bye.
having me.
Thank you, brother. Awesome, man.